Hi, my name is James Shepard, and in these next few videos, I'm going to be talking to you about pricing structures because pricing structures have really changed a lot in our industry. And today we're going to talk about tier pricing versus Interchange Plus. Tier pricing versus Interchange Plus. And this is some really specific merchant services stuff. I've talked about it a lot in the past, but I kind of realized that it's been a little while. It's been actually years since I really did a kind of a deep dive into this stuff, and there's just been a ton of change. So I want to talk about the two most common pricing structures in our industry right now, I guess. I don't know. There may be some other ones that have kind of maybe taken the lead, but we'll talk about basically 4 different pricing structures. So we're going to talk about tier pricing and Interchange Plus today. Tomorrow we're going to talk about flat rate pricing, and then the next day we're going to talk about subscription rate pricing. And so I just want to talk about these different ones. So today I want to talk about tier pricing and Interchange Plus, the two most common. So when I got into the business about 10 years ago, I would say 85%, at least 80, maybe 80, 85% of the small businesses I walked into were on tier pricing. And now it seems like that has basically flipped, and it seems like it's about 70% Interchange Plus pricing, well, taking out the flat rate and the subscription rate. So it's really interesting this change is happening. So I just wanted to talk about what to do with tier pricing, what's to do with Interchange Plus. So the first thing I want to kind of zoom out and talk about a bit is, why do industries become commoditized, which means, like electricity or things like that, where it's literally like, there's no big price savings, there's not a lot of profitability, it's just a commodity. It's not good when you're in an industry like that. And credit card processing is drifting towards that, just like every other industry is. Every other industry is at various stages of drifting towards that. The reason electricity is a commodity today is very simply because it's been around a long time. It's not like it's any magical thing. If you look at laptop computers right now, Apple has done a pretty good job with their MacBook Pro of kind of going way above the competition with price and things like that with their branding. But I mean, really, if you get outside of Apple and Mac world, laptop computers are a commodity today. When, 20 years ago, they were amazing. They were this incredible thing, and you really needed to find, the perfect laptop. Now, when we look for a laptop, what are we looking for? Price. I mean, we kind of know what we want. Obviously it's like we have a high performance. There's some different variables, but I mean, really, it's very quickly becoming a commodity. And it still has another probably 20 years to go before it's a complete commodity of basically like you go buy a laptop, you buy a laptop, and they're all really, really fast, like way faster than you would possibly need. And they all cost, $270, or whatever. Like, so things drift that way. Why? Well, the reason is really simple. It's because competitors view opportunities. And when a competitor sees an opportunity where they're like, hey, we could take less profit and we could just grab a ton of business, so we could get more volume at a lower price point. So what happened in our industry is everybody was on tier pricing. Well, tier pricing is a little bit, hazy. It's hard to understand what you're really paying. What are your costs? What is your markup? Well, tier pricing kind of hides all of that. And so you have your qualified, mid-qualified, and non-qualified rates. And you don't really know exactly what interchange is going into those buckets. And depending on the processor, they're going to have different categories going into it. And so, really you can't see anything like that. And that's why people like me 6 and 7 years ago were making videos and talking about how, hey, go Interchange Plus, do Interchange Plus, do Interchange Plus. Why? Because there was a big opportunity, because all these people were on tier pricing, so you could go out there and do an Interchange Plus comparison, save them a ton of money, show additional transparency, and you could steal the business, right? So that was an opportunity. And the thing about business is that it changes over time. The market changes. And so a good idea 5 or 6 or 7 years ago isn't necessarily a good idea today, okay? I think selling cash discounting a year and a half ago was maybe not the best idea because there wasn't a good company really doing it. It was kind of all over the place. It was kind of a mess. Now I feel like, that's the big opportunity of the year. Like, stuff changes. And so what happened is people came in and like, hey, we can save you money. Let's pull these people over. And so what happened was there was this huge transition over the last like 5 or 6 years of all these people that were on tier pricing. They're like, boom, now they're on Interchange Plus, right? What's Interchange Plus? Well, Interchange Plus is very transparent. And so it says, look, you're not going to pay as much markup, but the trade-off is that if your costs go up, then your costs go up. We don't absorb those costs. Whereas with tier pricing, it's like a little bit more of risky for the processor because the processor looks at it and says, well, we're always going to charge you this percentage for these transactions, and we don't know exactly what that mix is going to be, so our costs may go way up, and so we're going to have a little bit more markup in there. It's just like flat rate pricing, which we'll talk about tomorrow. You have all these different risks scenarios in there. So what are my thoughts on this? Which one of these two plans is better? Well, I might surprise some of you when I say, I think it's probably time for many of you to go back to doing some tier pricing. Now, why on earth would I say that it's time to go back to tier pricing? Well, because tier pricing is actually a simpler pitch than Interchange Plus. And so what happened over the last 5 years is everybody went from tier pricing to Interchange Plus and they flipped everybody over. Now you need something where you can throw people off a little bit, okay? Because if they're already on Interchange Plus and you go in there and you're like, hey, you're currently paying 60 basis points of markup, I'll charge you 50. So you're gonna save 0.1%. They're like, okay, you know, what is that about, right? Well, tier pricing now gives you the opportunity to go in and say, hey, you're on this tier pricing plan. Now, one thing you probably noticed is how your credit card processing rates really go up and down a lot, because when you're on Interchange Plus pricing, sometimes your interchange categories are different and everything like that. One thing we like to do is we do 3-tier pricing. With 3-tier pricing, you always pay the same thing for all of your check cards. You pay the same thing for all of your credit cards that are coming in as standard credit cards swiped through the terminal. And then you pay a third rate, which is your non-qualified rate, and you pay that one for all of your stuff that's coming in from reward cards or whatever. And again, really that'd be like 4-tier pricing. So you have to talk to your processor about the specifics of what you can offer and how to present it. But the idea here is, think about a pitch where you could go in and take somebody that's on Interchange Plus pricing. I don't see hardly anybody flipping people from Interchange Plus back over to tier pricing. And it's actually not a bad idea, because price is still a concern, but if you realize like, I really can't save them a ton of money, then what you can do is you can say, hey, here's this whole different thing called tier pricing, and it's going to be a lot better because of the more stability in the pricing. It's still going to vary a little bit. You don't want to go to Square, because like with them, you're always paying the same thing, but it's always a really high rate. Whereas with us, it's lower and it's going to be very stable. It's not going to be like 50 or 100 different rates like your tier pricing statement. It's going to be very simple with only 3 rates. So kind of talk to people about how, like, business owners that are on Interchange Plus pricing right now, they've been watching what's happening. They see Square with the flat rate and they have Interchange Plus, and they don't want to go to Square because they realize it's probably too expensive and things like that. So off from that middle ground of tier pricing, and I think you'll be surprised. So my opinion on tier pricing versus Interchange Plus is really simple. If somebody's on tier pricing, I want to flip them to Interchange Plus. If somebody's on Interchange Plus pricing, and they're a smaller merchant, they're doing less than, say, $30,000 a month in volume, $40,000 a month, somewhere less than that, I want to flip them to tier pricing. Why? Because it's a different pitch, and it gives me something else to talk about that's unique, rather than just price, 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 price. So don't be afraid to use tier pricing. Talk to your processor. Most processors have tier pricing. Don't be afraid of it. I like tier pricing. I think it's fine. It's just that back a long time ago, everybody was on tier pricing, and we needed to change the conversation, so we did Interchange Plus. Well, now everybody's on Interchange Plus pricing. Let's change the conversation, get them onto tier, right? So don't discount that completely. Look at tier pricing and look at that as an option. And then in the next video, we're going to talk about flat rate pricing.